So it's been 2 years since I covered this game last, and recently the long-awaited Scopophobia update just dropped, featuring some big changes to SCP-096. So I thought now was as good a time as any to revisit the game that helped spawn multiple videos across both my channels. Dare I say I missed the mic spam and elevator grenades? So, let's get into it. So the SCP update is titled Scopophobia, which is a fear of being stared at, so we all know who that's referring to. SCP-049. They've made a few small changes to the other SCPs, including speeding up 049's walk, which is helpful considering I'd always be casually walking to my death as I got mercilessly gunned down. And before this update, they've also changed it so he can revive anyone into SCP-049 too, as long as it's within 10 seconds of their death, instead of being someone he's personally killed. This was a much needed change, but it did ruin this joke in my animation.
Can't you just transform all these already dead guys into one of your undead army?
No, it has to be someone I've killed for some reason.
Then there's SCP-0492 who... Whoa, wait, hold up. Did he just... It's been 2 years! He's still T-posing? Right, SCP-0492 had some changes made in an attempt to make the attack feel more substantial, like reducing the wind-up in its attack, but playing as him still isn't overly impressive. The attacks don't feel satisfying and it never feels like I'm even attacking anyone until the guy dies, but it's still fun overall to play as part of a zombie horde. Also, you can now get infected by a zombie, which will then transform you into one after a short while. I found this out when myself and a large group of Chaos Insurgents handed ourselves over willingly to become zombies, resulting in the biggest horde I've ever seen. It's moments like this that make me love this game. SCP-939, aka the dog, now inflicts amnesia, a new status effect that makes you forget how to reload or access your inventory, which is cool. But I've never survived an encounter with a dog, so I think reloading would be the least of my worries. Also, he wasn't even in the game last time I reviewed it, so yeah, there's a dog now. They're a fun addition with eyesight based on sound. So if you're running, he'll be able to see you through the walls at a long distance, a medium distance if you're walking, and if you're standing still or sneaking, he won't see you unless he's essentially on top of you. He can also speak to humans, which leads to some interesting tactics, like asking someone to open a door to 914 from the outside. His sprint sound effect is also just a regular character run sound effect, so it's harder to distinguish you from other players. This guy is probably my favourite all-round SCP, as he's the most balanced. He's an absolute tank for health, so gunning him down usually isn't the best option, hiding is. And with his eyesight being based on movement, as long as you're sneaking or standing still, there'll be plenty of moments where the SCP will run right past you in search of his next feast. That being said, when I played as him I used a couple of zomboids to be my eyes, so that strategy doesn't always work. They've also added the computer, SCP-079 back in, which is nice. He's not the most fun SCP to play as, but he's certainly useful as a teammate. If a scientist or MTF agent isn't being cooperative and wants to actually live for some reason, you can lock the doors around them so the other SCPs have them cornered. You can also electrocute them with a sneakily timed Tesla gate shock and open doors that the other SCPs wouldn't be able to otherwise. It's also like one big FNAF game, so if you like that, then yeah. I'd add a FNAF jump scare here if I hadn't already done it in my Bigfoot video, but... So, let's get into the meat of it. SCP-096. They completely overhauled this guy with a brand new model and sounds that weren't just Control-V'd from Containment Breach. He stands much taller than before and his design is brilliant when both facing him or playing as him, as his slender creepy arms reach out in front of you. And if he wasn't terrifying before, he can now force open large doors with his charge attack. I was not prepared for this horrifying sight the first time round. It makes sense considering there's meant to be nothing that can stop him once somebody triggers him, but my body is just not ready. I'm meant to feel safe in SCP-914, damn it. Now not only 106 can get him, but so can 096. They've also changed his health up, so now instead of having a boatload of health like the other high HP SCPs, it's split between 2 health bars. One for his base health and the other is a regenerating artificial health bar that acts as a barrier whilst in rage mode. Once he's triggered, he gains additional artificial health for each person that's looked at him, and you'll have to shoot through that before being able to even touch his base health. On top of that, the shield sits at 500 AHP and regenerates back to that over time. Unfortunately, while this is good if you're playing as him, he's hell to deal with. His speed and health result in a pretty thorough reaming of a full team if you're unlucky enough to encounter him. And going alone against him is a waste of time as he'll regenerate any health you take off him. Another new feature is these orange beacons to show you where the people that looked at you went, so no more hiding near doors hoping he'll run past. The best method of killing him is still to wait until he's finished raging and then fill him with lead. Assuming there is enough MTF alive after his rampage, it'll be easy enough to kill him before he's ready to kill again. Or do what happened to me and throw a grenade and the lethal red bouncy ball of death to kill him in a matter of seconds. NANI? This was literally my first time ever seeing this bouncy ball, and before I even knew what was going on, I was a Chaos Insurgent. Like literally, it happened so fast my hands were still on screen as I spawned in. Nice. And when he's been contained, he'll enter a fetal position, which is fitting to his character, and is a real nice touch. You haven't actually killed him, he's just having a bit of a cry. Very relatable. They've also added a get your shit together button that you can press near walls and doors to help stifle your crying in an attempt to ambush players, but I didn't find myself needing to use this much. It could work in a pinch though if you're trying to avoid being noticed during a cooldown. So now I'm going to talk about a few of the other changes they've made. A new feature I'm happy they've introduced is stamina, so you can't just permanently outrun the dog, 106 or the Walmart shopper anymore, as everyone except the SCPs have a stamina bar now. It gives you a decent amount, so it doesn't ruin the pace of the game, but does add an additional element of gameplay, as you'll need to keep a full stamina bar for when you encounter an SCP. There's also a timer for when light containment decontamination takes place, so you'll know whether you have enough time to head to 914 or not. The Logister got bastioned, Nerf Bastion! So a group of Chaos Insurgents can't slaughter an SCP in seconds, which I honestly appreciate. I would consistently be annoyed being an MTF and feeling like I stood no chance the second I saw an insurgent. The menu has been changed up quite a bit too. It's different, I guess. Honestly, I don't like it. The previous one was really unique with its projection of the menu onto a screen and the creepy SCP music over the top. It set a nice tone whenever you opened up the game, but this is just a big generic step backwards in my opinion, and the amount of times I've pressed a damn YouTube link thinking it's a quick play button is embarrassing. Also, the links cover up the link next to it whenever you go onto them. I just hate it. Granted, considering my only real complaint is with the menu, this is a pretty good update. I'm just whining. But damn it, I'm gonna moan anyway. Let's get hashtag bring back the old menu cause some YouTuber with less than 5k subs said so trending on Twitter please. The most annoying thing about it is that there was an option to change it back to the old menu, but they patched it out shortly after the main update. Please, I'm an old man, I don't like change, give me my projector back. That being said, I love all the other changes and I can see why this game has such a dedicated fanbase all these years later, and I hope they keep adding to it for years to come. So yeah, that's a new update for you. Pretty sure I've covered everything that I needed to. Now let's get this video out before they release a new SCP or something and make this video outdated immediately like last time. Facility guards were added after I made the video, damn it! Thank you very much for checking out this video, and if you've made it this far, congrats! You're in a very small club of about 30% who actually watch to the end of my videos. That or you've got YouTube autoplay on and you're in another room entirely right now. Hey! Hey you over there! Subscribe! Anyways, thank you to my lovely Patreons and I'll see you in the next video. See ya!